But let's speak to one man who says he has the plan to fix the economic challenge confronting this nation. I'm talking about Kojo Poku. He's an energy expert and also a presidential aspirant. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to the Pulse. It's good to be speaking to you.
I don't remember saying I have a
But I've seen about a 5
pointer.
Yes,
5
pointer. Yes, clearly indicating what the grand plan should be in terms of
medium to long term.
Right. In terms of responding to the crisis in which we find ourselves.
Yes.
But I want to pick up on what the president says in, first of all, dealing with the fuel price hike. Right. He says that we're looking for a cheaper source of energy, right? Would that be an easy task for government?
No, it's not. Obviously, we don't know what conversations the president is having. He's the president of the nation, and he probably privy to conversations that we are not privy to. But the bottom line is that from where I sit, I don't see how. It's a difficult one in this market because there's a global crisis. It's not only the fact that Ghana is going through this, in terms of fuel shortages and the scarcity of that product called petroleum product. It's scarce everywhere. The only people who seem to have it in abundance are the people who there's an embargo on. And there's an embargo on them for a reason.
Right.
And we in the West cannot scale that embargo and go and buy from there. So obviously, Ghana is in a fix.
So what you're basically saying is, even if there's abundance of fuel in the Russian market or wherever it is we can find it in the East, it would not be as easy trying to bring it down here.
No, Ghana is a signatory to so many legislation acts, and in
international
that it does not allow us to go. We are not like Iran. We are not like any of the rogue nations. We are a country welcomed by the West. We are negotiating with IMF. World Bank just gave us something. We are just in DC. We are really in the bosom of the West. So you can't behave like Cuba or any of the rogue nations and say, I'm going to buy crude from or petroleum product from Russia. You can't do that.
But that's where the difficulty is now. So what should be the alternative, and how do we approach this situation?
Well, like I said, none of us is privy to the conversation the president is talking about. What some of us know is that there is a conversation between Decimal Vitor and Tor. Okay? And that arrangement is for Tor to be taken over by Decimal stroke Vitor and refined locally and basically be able to sell into the market. I don't know, like I said, since he made that speech, I've been talking to a lot of people in the sector, and we all don't know what the conversation is. But like I said, he's the president.
But
so
on a large scale, what's the probability of that project succeeding?
Of him getting cheaper fuel?
Yes, through the arrangements.
Okay, so like I said, he's the president. I don't know the conversation he's having. From where I sit, 0 to 10, the probability of that happening is 1. Him getting cheaper fuel, from where I sit. I don't know what else he's talking to or who else he's talking to. I was very active between the His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor's era. And I was more or less part of delegations that would go to Nigeria to talk to His Excellency Obasanjo on fuel. You know, Nigeria helped us a lot between that era. They would give us cheaper crude and gave us enough time to pay for it. We no longer have that problem we don't longer have that relationship with Nigeria. Nigeria themselves are having their own challenges. One of the things that they will have had abundance of is crude oil. They blame Ghana for aiding and abetting criminals from stealing their crude, because most of the crude stolen in Nigeria, recently there's a documentary where they caught a barge and the barge was destined to Tema. So they blame us for aiding and abetting. Maybe not all the crude comes to Ghana, but they feel that if we were better brothers to them, we could have stopped some of that. So we don't have that go and run. In the last 30 years, the most crude that has come to Tamoyo refinery is crude from Nigeria. People have always talked of crude from Angola, from all around the world, and none of them has ever panned out. From the time, as far as I know, most of the crude that has ever come to Tamoyo refinery has been from Nigeria.
So our best bet now would be to go back to the Nigerian market?
If they would talk to us, but they wouldn't. So that much I know.
What would it take to reverse that anyway? Because I recall from some accounts and some literature point to the fact that yes, there was a difficulty in the 70s when we're trying to repair our relations. I mean, during the Kufuor era, subsequently with Nigeria,
it was repaired.
It was repaired, and then eventually we got to, yeah. But we can go back there, isn't it?
No, it's not. Look, I don't know if you go into Nigerian politics. Right. There should be a relationship between the presidents. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, there is really no relationship between the Nigerian administration and Ghana administration. There's none. With the issue of Guta harassing Nigerian traders, mm-hmm. The parliament is not very happy. The House of Assembly in Nigeria is not very happy. There's the issue that came up of the embassy and all that resolution that came up, though it was resolved, right. But there are instances that does not make the administration very happy. Mm. And again, like I said, they feel that if we were reporting those who, imagine that there's a vessel full of crude in Ghana arrested, and we hand them over to Nigeria. That would give us some good faith, right? But we're not doing that. People are taking those stolen crude. So as far as I know, and I play heavily in the Nigerian politics and the Nigerian market, there's no relationship between the Ghana government and the Nigerian government.
So that will be another difficulty.
That will be a difficulty.
How about tackling the issue from the OMC angle?
Okay, so the OMC is private. So that's why some of us are baffled when it comes to the president saying that he is looking for, because we all know that it's a deregulated market. It's the private companies mm-hmm. that bring in the products. Yeah. So I don't know what arrangement that is going on. The people who play in this market are the BDCs who work with Vitol, Glencore, BP, and Trafigura. Okay, those are the four main traders around the world. Right. The most predominant ones is BP and Vitol. Trafigura, yes, because they had Ocean, Blue Ocean, okay. and Blue Ocean and Puma. Okay, so they have a chain. So their subsidiaries is Blue Ocean mm-hmm. and Puma. Mm-hmm. They have not played in the market heavily as we all thought they would do. Glencore has come in with a bit of products lately, but those that are heavily playing in the market is BP. BP in the last 2-3 years have burned their fingers in this market because people owe them over $500 million. Really? In this market, yes. They are owed over $500 million as last count. So
given the current crisis,
they keep producing they keep bringing products into the market because they need to supply for their clients to be able to recover the money that is owed to them. There's a lack of Vitol. Now, Vitol is in a very difficult position because, there is this Springfield E&I thing which has Vitol in there. And because that Springfield E&I unitization has not been resolved, E&I Vitol is really not in the same boat as how they want to play in the market. But look, this all said and done, mm-hmm. money is money. Right. If the government is able to sit them down and give them maybe some carrots, maybe we can derive some benefits from them. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the conversation the president is having.
The last attempt we made at trying to reduce the price artificially was to deal with our own assets, GOIL, right? It ruffled the markets. Of course, GOIL eventually was suspended out of that group. Can we go back to that approach of trying to run the market through GOIL? Again,
government owes GOIL so much money that if they are not careful, they'll collapse GOIL. So government indebtedness to GOIL has also increased recently. They owe GOIL, they're not paying GOIL. So I don't think GOIL will be in a hurry. If you watch what's going on, GOIL is marching everybody boot for boot. So normally when the price do come out, GOIL will be a little bit price off the majors. So there are 4 companies that mainly do these high prices. Normally GOIL will stay a step out of them. Now GOIL is matching them number for number. So GOIL also feels that, look, you guys are not doing us any favors.
So there's no hope for us, is there?
Well, the only hope is to, one, try and find Forex for the OMCs and the BDCs. It's as simple as that. I don't know why people think that there's a conversation around that. We need Forex. Okay. They need Forex, one, to pay their bills. They need a rate at which they can sell to you and I. Without a guaranteed rate, they are not able to now be able to fix a price. You remember that in between the window, we had the last window, and in between the window, there was a price hike. Now, at the end of the window, there's another price hike. The reason being that nobody knows what the forward rate is. We don't know. So all the conversations going on. Last week, Monday, there was a meeting between the Ministry of Energy, MPA, BOG, and the OMCs and BDCs. At the end of that meeting, on Tuesday to Wednesday, there was a price hike. It tells you that that meeting was inconclusive. Then we've had all the conversations with all the AGIs and all the conversations saying that, oh, the cedi is appreciating. If the cedi is appreciating and the government really believes that the cedi is appreciating, don't you think that they, in government businesses, will probably put the dollar to like 11 or 12? It's not. Today, I went to Registrar General, the dollar is 14. At Registrar General, the dollar is 14.
In spite of the BOG.
Well, that's my point. No, but the BOG, the banks, Bank of America, Bank of Africa, is doing 14.9. Zenith Bank is doing 14.4. So the banks are not reducing their prices.
If it's a problem with Forex, we've depended on some of the very recent ones. We talk about the Afriism, the very latest one being the cocoa syndicator. Some experts predicted that it was going to be a flash in the pan. Indeed, that's what it is becoming.
Yes, because
we're going back to the range of 14, as you're pointing out.
Right. But because you know the fundamental...
But the president is hopeful that by December, the IMF bailout may be worked out.
Okay, look.
That could be our way out.
Let me disappoint him. I've always given this analogy, and I don't know who is advising the president. And this is the truth. You have a diarrhea, and the diarrhea is caused by an infection. Okay? You take Imodium, and then what the Imodium does is what? It plugs you. It stops the diarrhea. Imodium does not fix the infection. So you need antibiotics to fix the infection. In this scenario, IMF is the Imodium. IMF is not the antibiotics. The debt sustainability plan that everybody keeps talking about is that you have huge expenditure outlay, which is unsustainable as compared to the debt you have. So now you want to spend so much money in undertaking some projects. Looking at the debt you have, you are not going to get enough revenue to be able to do what? Pay your debt. Right. If you go ahead and do even these projects, then it makes it worse. So to start with, the bottom line to start with is that, look, scrap a lot of these expenditures that you want to do. Last year, November, Kojo Poku said that this. What? The Minister of Finance went to the floor of the House and read the budget. The budget said what? It said that I am going to spend 150 billion Ghana cedis. Right. Nobody thought it was outrageous, right? The previous year, his total revenue was 68 billion, 70 billion at best.
Yeah, but it's always been the case.
No, but the point, but you see, but there's always revenue. If somebody have outruns in revenue, that's fine. But you can't have outruns in expenditure. So if you are telling me that you're going to spend 150 billion and your possible revenue, physical cash you can collect in this country is only 70 billion, it means you want to now 80 billion more in borrowing. Meanwhile, you've borrowed other monies that you are not paying. Right. So the question is that, look, fundamentally, what this country needs is that we need to come and stand in front of the camera and tell Ghanaians that these projects are not going to happen because we can't afford them. That's the fundamental. I don't know why. You see, in the president's speech, he talked about, let me land on this. Okay. The presidency, he talked about bridging the infrastructure gap. Right. We have been trying to do that, and by so doing, we are bankrupting the nation. That infrastructure gap is unfortunate that Ghana is where we are without certain things. But we can push it through, and as a result, make you and I, our life difficult, which is what's happening.
But this is where some of the opinion that if you have a government that is more prudent with its expenditure, then we can cut down on some areas and use and have more fiscal space to do more.
Yes.
The president says, I'm retaining the 30% cut on public spending, and also he goes ahead to even touch the salaries of some of his appointees. Okay. It's enough indication that this government has that posture of cutting back, isn't it?
So the truth is in the numbers. Okay, the analysts will sit down and say, okay, the 30% cut is what? 30% cut in salaries is what? Then if it's a drop in the ocean as compared to what you really need to do, then everybody will tell, look, you are not doing the right thing. Maybe if the 30% is maybe a big slash of your expenditure, then everybody will clap and say, okay, you're showing intent. But you realize that nobody believes what's happening because, look, in the Bahamas time, we had similar situation. Right. The minute we talked about IMF, the whole thing normalized. and the city stabilized because people
Had
now
some confidence.
No, it wasn't confidence. The fact that the IMF thing, everybody then it was the first time that okay, we're going to IMF, blah, blah, blah. So Ghanaians were like, okay, fine. This is the case where this problem started way back in February. We've been talking about this since February. The first time that we got downgraded, we couldn't go back into the market. Straight away, we knew we had a problem. We knew we had a problem.
But we had the assurance from the finance minister that
they didn't want to go to IMF. Then we fought over e-levy, that e-levy was a panacea and it was going to be the akubam for everything that we needed, which didn't happen, right? Today, we've now gone a full circle. So if I'm the president, one, the few things you were told was that we didn't need IMF and we can solve this problem with e-levy and all those things, right? How did all of a sudden IMF become the solution? Let's ask ourselves that. If we didn't need IMF and everything was fine.
It was the finance minister's word against that of the president he was serving.
Well, let's assume the president is the final decision maker. Let's assume they all take responsibility together. Now we go into IMF.
Yeah.
Like I said, the IMF is only the Imodium. The antibacterial the antibacterial you need to take to take us from the bottom to start looking at growth and give investor confidence is that people will see that you have cut back. Put it this way, we overspent before election. The investors knew that, okay? We overspent before election. The investors knew that, but that same year we also had pandemic. If you've listened to the country director for IMF, he said that, look, in every pandemic, countries overspend, and it's acceptable. But what is not acceptable is that to try and outspend the money you spent in a pandemic year, which is what we tried to do. In 2020, we overspent. The investors knew that. They gave us a bludge. 2021, we read a budget. But then what we tried to do is now outspend how much we spent in the pandemic year, and also coupled with elections. So the investors are like, look, these guys don't have a plan to get themselves out of this borrow. That issue of you can borrow yourself out of debt, in Ghana, it doesn't work.
There's a process in Parliament as we speak, asking for the removal of the finance minister. We've heard the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagmin, comment on this. He says, just triggering that parliamentary process alone of removing Ken Ofori-Atta as the finance minister brought some level of undulation in the performance of the Ghana cedi. Immediately the process was started and MPs, 80 of the majority MPs announced their decision to back that. The cedi then came down marginally. It's gone back to where it is now. And the Speaker's opinion is that when the finance minister is removed, we may solve part of our problems.
Well, we've had a similar instance in the UK, right? Kwesi Kwarteng.
Yeah.
Kwesi Kwarteng became finance minister, made some statements, right? And straight away the pound went nosediving to the point where it was 1-to-1 to the US, which is historical, unprecedented. Then, look, we all saw that it hadn't bounced back. Then there was a push for him to resign. Kwesi Kwarteng resigned. And what happened? The cedi went back up. Sorry, the pound went back up. Right. Now, with Liz Truss going and Rishi Sunak becoming prime minister, the pound is appreciated. It tells you that investor confidence is key. If investors have lost confidence in an individual, okay, and I was surprised when everybody was like, oh, leave him to finish the negotiation. I would have thought that whoever you had in mind to be finance minister after Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta would be in there now to do the final leg of the negotiation so he can implement it. If Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta finished the negotiation and then leave in January, then what? Somebody comes in and supervises what? Meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? So for me, the transition would have been, okay, he's going to be there, but I am appointing this person to take over from him. Let him be part. So we all know who is going to be the finance minister. Right. He's going to be part of the negotiation team so that we can transition well. We need that confidence with the investors. Government alone cannot bring in the required dollars to fix this problem. The investors need to have confidence in our nation to feel that it's a destination again. Right now, nobody feels confident to come into the country.
And we need to go, but of course, for many, this is a sign that your political party, the NPP, is not faring well. And that you may have a hard time going into the next elections. You want to lead the party.
Doing very well.
Well, I'll give you the opportunity now as we wrap up. To tell us exactly what you intend to do when you're giving that opportunity.
Okay,
to
so let me correct that statement. Those in Jubilee House, okay, are not all from MPP. The government was formed by people from MPP, but the MPP
it's
party,
your government.
No, that's fine. It's the MPP government, but you said you didn't add that. You said the MPP is not faring well, which is not the same thing. MPP,
yeah, but I'm not sure you're faring well.
I am faring well. MP, I'm not in government. Party. No, the party is in the party head office is at Abraka. We are doing very well. The chairman is in team.
He's issued a statement.
The Jubilee House,
he says he's aware of some tensions within the party simply because of the removal of
the point I'm making is that the party is doing well. Your statement was that the party is not. But
it's your word against mine.
Well, that's fine. But the party has not done anything to anybody. The party just elected a beautiful chairman and a very vibrant general secretary.
And your finance minister is not faring
well? No, the government's finance minister is not the party's finance minister. Let's move on from that. What I want to get across to you that if I'm given the mandate to lead the party, right, we're going to do a few things different. We're going to make sure that basically you've seen the 5 pointers that are put in to make sure that we get upstream because look, most of these debt that we have, we didn't get into that debt because we thought the taxes would pay for it. We thought upstream, crude oil, if we go by now, it should have been around 500,000 barrels a day. That will pay for it. Look at some of the social interventions that are not doing well, cut them down. Infrastructure, cut them down. And basically let Ghanaians admit that we're a poor nation, live according to our means, okay? Like the normal saying, cut your coat according to your cloth. So we are going to now look at, let not politicians or MPs go around the nation promising things that we can't deliver. Let's save. If we save money as a nation, and our savings is enough to back our currency, then everybody's standard of living will be lower because the city will have value. Then we can now save money from all these interest we are paying on our loans, use that money to do all the things we want to do.
Well, what will you tell the president? If when was the last time you met him, and what
if I to meet him and to ask me my opinion? Basically, just make sure that you bring some confidence into your government. Remove immediately most of the ministers who are not performing, and there's quite a number of them that are not performing. And those that have ambitions, which he knows about, let them go and start, because that's what they are doing anyway. They are going around campaigning, so everybody knows who they are, and they are campaigning. So let them go. Bring in fresh blood, and we have 2 years. And that 2 years, the government can do something that Ghanaians will be proud of.
Kojo Poku, are you looking for an appointment?
Nope.
Okay. You don't want to serve?
I wouldn't. No. It's not I don't want to serve, but at this stage, if the car
if you were asked to be the finance minister,
I don't want any appointment. If the car is already in the ditch, the wheels are up, a 4x4 can help you. So already that's the problem.
Anyway.